Can you just believe that I have successfully balanced the Sigma 24mm art lens with the Sony a7 IV body on the DJI RS3 Mini? And we have also the full clearance here, as you see here, which is really unbelievable. And I should mention that this is the old version of the Sigma 24mm lens, which is the DGHSM, which is really heavier than the new version DGDN. And now we have the full clearance with the DJI RS3 Mini. This is just pretty amazing for a tiny gimbal like this. What's up YouTube? Hope you are doing really well. So I got the brand new DJI RS3 Mini instead of my Zhiyun Crane M3 as my second gimbal to shoot some videos in the streets and some for traveling. It's really good, it's really compact, and I want to use it more instead of my DJI RS2 Pro. So we have it here, and in this video I'm going to do an unboxing to see what we get inside the box, and I will do some real world tests, some extreme tests on a bicycle, and also some running and some b-roll shoots to see how this gimbal performs. And I will be using my Sony ZV-E10 to test the real power of this gimbal's stabilization. I do not want to use my Sony a7 IV because it has a 5-axis in-body stabilization which helps the gimbal, so you could get a better understanding of the power of the stabilization of this gimbal if you want to get a camera like ZV-E10 or any other APS-C Sony cameras or any other camera which doesn't have a in-body stabilization, to see how this gimbal performs. So let's see what we get with this DJI RS3 Mini. So the DJI RS3 Mini comes in a white minimal package. It doesn't have a bag because it's a travel gimbal. You can easily place it in your camera bag. As you see, we get a user manual, and in the box we are getting the accessories, a quick release camera plate, and other than that you are getting a mini tripod which is really minimal and tiny, and the quality of it is premium. It's not metal but it's plastic, good plastic. You get some screws, 2 screws here, and other than that you get a USB-C cable for charging the gimbal, and other than that you get a MCC cable which you are not going to need because we have a Bluetooth shutter control. And here we have the gimbal itself, the DJI RS3 Mini. It is really light, it's only 795 grams, and it feels really premium and good in the hand. I really like the quality of it. It reminds you of the DJI RS2 Pro, RS3 Pro. It has the same quality and the same body, and it feels really well in the hand. As you see here, we have a 1.4-inch display, and other than that we get most of the features of the DJI RS3 and RS3 Pro, like the Bluetooth shutter control. And here you see that it feels really compact in the hand, and it's just it might be a little bit small for big hands, but again I felt really comfortable with it, and we get locks for the axes which you can use. So here you can see the size difference between the DJI RS3 Mini and the DJI RS2 Pro, and as you see here, the RS2 Pro is much bulkier. The RS3 Mini might seem a little bit the same height, but if you remove this plate when you are putting this RS3 Mini in your bag, as you see here, if I remove this plate, you can see it becomes much more smaller compared to the DJI RS2 Pro. And another big important factor is the weight. It is much more lighter than the RS2 Pro, and it would cause less fatigue when you are doing some shooting. And I mean, it's just much more lighter, and you should hold it in your hand to understand what I mean. And I really love the weight of this gimbal. It doesn't make you tired, and it is really good that you can also balance some heavy lenses with heavy bodies on this tiny little gimbal. Vertical balancing might be a little bit tricky with the DJI RS3 Mini, but it's not really hard. First thing you need to do is to remove the space plate by opening the red switch and pressing the back button, and as you see, it's going to be removed really easily. After that, you are going to remove this base plate, the bottom plate, so the gimbal would be ready for installing the camera vertically. You just open the switch here again and you see a button at the end of it. You just press it back, and after that you can easily remove this base plate too, which again was really easy, not a complicated process. Now the gimbal is ready for installing the vertical mount. Now you should check that these red signs are aligned through each other, and you just slide the mount here again on the vertical arm with the signs aligned at each other, and now you can easily slide the plate here for a vertical mount, and as you see it is sliding to the vertical arm. Now it is ready. You just close the switch. Now it is ready. The gimbal is ready for a vertical mount. Now you are ready to put your camera on the gimbal. You should slide the camera in the base plate, and after that you should close the switch so the camera is placed on the gimbal firmly and it's not going to fall. Now we are ready to balance the gimbal. In order to balance your gimbal, you should first check the forward and backward here. You should just play with it. Bring your camera backward if it falls through forward, and wherever it stays is the correct position. Now you just face your lens to the upward, and now you should check that if your camera stays up. If it doesn't stay up, you should move the base plate on the vertical arm until the camera lens stays up without falling. Wherever it stays up is the correct position which the gimbal is balanced. As you see, I am playing with it. You should just be patient and play with it. As you see, it is balanced, so I close the red switch. Now this axis is also balanced. Now we go for the roll motor. You should when it is balanced, the camera should stay at the center of the roll motor. If it goes to the left or right, you should play with it so the camera stays at the center. As you see here, the camera is staying at the center and not moving to the sides, so the roll balance is balanced, roll axis is balanced too. Now we go for the pan. As you see, if the camera is balanced for the pan, when you make the gimbal, give the gimbal a little bit of angle, it should not turn around. If it turns around, you should play with the pan axis. You should bring it forward or backward until the camera stays stable without moving left or right. You should play with it and just make it, you should close the switch, and if the gimbal stays like this without moving to the left or right, it means that the pan axis is also balanced. Now all of my axes are balanced. You open all the locks and you turn on the gimbal, and after that you go to the Ronin app to test the balance to see if the gimbal is balanced. In order to do the test, you need to keep the gimbal at a degree more than 15 degrees, and it will start a test. You should keep it at a degree at an angle more than 15 degrees to get a result. Now as you see, all the axes are excellently balanced. Now it's the time to do some real-world tests to see how this DJI RS3 Mini performs in a real-world scenario and if it has a good stabilization or not. Let's go out, guys, and see how this tiny little gimbal performs. So as you see here, you can easily place your DJI RS3 Mini in your camera bag by detaching this plate and the tripod. And you also have place for your cameras, 2 cameras here, which is really good for traveling. Now I am testing the camera without the gimbal so you can see how the ZV-E10 performs without any sensor stabilization. Now I want to run. You see we have lots of shakes, so it's not really usable. And here is the test for the no gimbal. Now let me bring out the DJI RS3 Mini and I will set up my ZV-E10 on this tiny gimbal and start the testing to see how this gimbal performs in a real-world scenario. So I have balanced my Sony ZV-10 with the Sigma 16mm 1.4 on the DJI RS3 Mini. Now I am walking, and as you know, the Sony ZV-10 doesn't have an in-body stabilization, so we are getting the only stabilization from the gimbal itself. I'm walking normally and slowly. Now let me walk a little bit faster to see how this gimbal performs. Now I will start running. And this is the test for vlogging, and I will make the test harder, and I will run the bike and start another shoot to see how this gimbal performs. Now as you see, I am riding the bike, and let's see how the stabilization performs in this scenario. This makes the test a little bit harder. I hope the stabilization is working really good on the bike. So how is the stabilization? I should go home and see. I hope it's doing so good. Let's change the path. We have lots of ups and downs here. I hope it's doing really good. I'm still riding the bike and holding the gimbal with one hand. This is not an ideal position for a gimbal, but let's test it to see how it performs, if it is any stable or not. Thank you so much for watching this review, guys. If you have any questions about the DJI RS3 Mini, please feel free to ask them in the comment sections. I will be really glad to answer them. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to support me. That would be really appreciated. I will be seeing you in my future videos. Goodbye.